Hey folks, Kerry here. I got the idea to make this video a couple of days ago. I just came around to it. I've told this story to two other people. So it's about the election and how people are saying that, what President Trump is doing, with fighting the election results. What they're saying is it's like breaking democracy and that, it's a shambles and he's making the U.S. look ridiculous in what he's doing, contesting the election and not declaring conceding the election to declare that Joe Biden has won. So I've been waiting for a couple of days to make this video, and today Michigan certified their votes. And so kind of officially Joe Biden is on path to be the president pretty much no matter what. I mean, there are still some legal actions that President Trump could do that there's a slim possibility that he could win, but I mean there is the possibility. And so what I wanted to talk about was the fact, that what President Trump is doing with contesting the elections results in these certain states where it seems like there's, either voter fraud or at least irregularities, mistakes or whatever you want to call it, that it's actually kind of like shining light on the problem. And that's a good thing, because now you can get these things out into the open during this election so that they can get fixed for future elections. And so the story that I told two other friends that it reminds me of something that happened to me when I was in the Navy. In the Navy, I was in naval aviation. And in naval aviation, there are two manuals that we go by that is like what we call our Bible that we follow. One of them is NATOPS, which is the manual that pilots use. And we say that the NATOPS manual is written in blood, like literally written in blood, because what happens is anytime that there's an accident, and they investigate the accident and find out, what mistakes were made, they then write that into the manual, to do things this way to make sure that that mistake is never made again, so that, people don't die again. And so that's the NATOPS manual. That's the Bible for pilots and the people who work on the airplanes. I worked in intermediate level, so I worked on the things that they took out of the planes and sent to us to fix and then send back to put back onto the plane. And our Bible was the 4790, the OPNAV 4790.1 or whatever. So the 4790 was our Bible. So I was in the Navy 20 years. Since I was in aviation and the type of airplanes that I worked on didn't land on aircraft carriers, they were too big for that. I never went to a ship until I had been in the Navy for about 16 years. So my last 4 years in the Navy, I got sent to an aircraft carrier, and they put me into a job that I had never done before. So I had to dig into the manuals in order to find out, how the job was supposed to be done. And after doing it for a while and digging into the manuals in order to see, the procedures, how they're supposed to be done and stuff, I found myself butting heads with the Master Chief, who is an E9. I was an E6. And so I went to the Master Chief and I said, hey, look, we're not doing things the way that they're supposed to be done. According to the 4790, this is how it's supposed to be done. And the Master Chief said, oh, well, the 4790 is wrong. And I was just taken aback that a Master Chief in naval aviation would say that the 4790, the Bible for naval aviation maintenance, is wrong. So, but, so getting put into that job that I had never done before and having to learn how to do it by reading the manuals and stuff like that, I kind of stirred up things and, ended up, straightening out some things, butted heads with Master Chief on other things, but, brought things to light that, hey, this is how things are supposed to be done, because I was new to the game and I had to look into the manuals to find out how they were supposed to be done. Not just how they've been doing it for the past, 8 or 10 years or whatever, how they were actually supposed to be done by the manual. So, President Trump is kind of in the same situation. He was never a politician before becoming president. And he's gone through a lot of stuff, fighting the system. And so here we are with the election. It was pretty close. I mean, even now that everything's been done and the votes are now certified in the majority of states, enough states that would give Joe Biden the win. Joe Biden has 51.1% of the popular vote. So it was a pretty close heat. And so President Trump, has been looking kind of like I did, looking into the manuals to see, how things are supposed to be done. And in this case, the manual is the U.S. Constitution. So the things that President Trump are doing, even though they've never been tried before by anybody else except for the, Bush v. Gore, but that only involved one state. That was Florida. In the case with Trump, it involves Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, maybe Wisconsin. But the things that he is doing, it's actually a legal process that is laid out. It's a possible thing that you can do. It's just that nobody's ever done it before. So he's actually using all of his legal paths that he could take that are laid out in the Constitution. And so this is kind of bringing light to people, that would have never even known that this was a possibility. The fact that, like if they can't certify the votes in enough states that would give Joe Biden enough electoral votes, 270 needed by the electors, that then it would go to the Congress. And the Congress would vote on the electors, and they would vote. It would be one vote per state. So it's kind of weird how that would work, about how if you have in the House of Representatives, if you have, say like 2 or 3 or 4 representatives for a state, it's, some of them are Republican, some of them are Democrat. I still don't even know exactly how they would work out that, how they were going to decide on the one vote for the elector, whether that elector was going to be for the Republicans or for the Democrats. But so this is a path that Trump would like to take, because in the House, even though the Democrats have a majority, by state, the Republicans have a majority. So this would work out well for President Trump. But this is an option that is afforded to him if the states can't certify their votes and pick the electors that way. And so basically it's exposing all of the other legal paths that are laid out in the Constitution about how to go about electing the president, and the options that are there in case the regular vote doesn't decide a winner, how you can then go on and decide a winner in the Congress, in the House of Representatives, and the other options. So he's just, kind of like I did, stirring up the mud and straightening things out, and by being the new guy in the game and having to dig into the manuals to find out how things are supposed to be done. So these people that are saying that President Trump is breaking democracy. No, he's actually following it. It, you know, I understand if Joe Biden is your candidate, you know, you want the easy win for him to just say, you know, concede and say, okay, yeah, you won. But I mean, it was pretty close. I mean, Joe Biden. I'm looking at the AP right now. Joe Biden has 51.1% of the popular vote. By electoral, the AP has Joe Biden at 306. So he's past the 270 needed to win by the electoral vote. But 51.1% of the popular vote, that's pretty dang close. And President Trump is fighting tooth and nail and using all of the possible legal avenues that are laid out in the Constitution.